On a June night in 2025, the ancient Wat Ratana Kosin temple in the heart of Bangkok erupted into chaos. The revered abbot vanished without a trace. At the same time, a shocking video spread like wildfire across social media, a young woman whispering tenderly to a bald monk via video call. Later confirmed to be the very abbot who fled the temple that night in a mysterious black car. The monastic community was stunned. Devotees were left reeling. Who could drive a virtuous monk to abandon his vows in silence? Who orchestrated this humiliating spectacle? The answers began to surface as police traced blurry videos and suspicious bank transfers, every clue pointing to one name. Wilawan Gulf Msawat, the enigmatic woman behind a string of romantic scams and blackmail targeting Thailand's clergy. You're watching True Crime in the World, where we unravel the most mysterious cases and gripping stories you've likely never heard before. Today we peel back the curtain on Wilawan Gulf Msawat, the Femme Fatale who brought down high-ranking Thai monks in a staggering blackmail plot that rocked the Buddhist world. As always, before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. In the early hours of July 17th, 2025, the quiet serenity of a small village near an ancient temple in Po Thalaphichit province was shattered by a bizarre event. Priyecha, the village headman, raced to the temple gates after hearing that the abbot had vanished without a trace. Just the previous evening, he had been chatting with the monk via line about a generator the village had borrowed for temple use. Their conversation was normal until it abruptly stopped around midnight. After that, all contact was severed. Arriving at the temple, Priyecha and a few devotees found the monk's quarters locked tight. The temple gate was still secured, but the abbot's black car registered in Phichit was gone. No one knew where the monk had gone. No note, no trace. The abbot, a renowned monk in the region, had seemingly shed his saffron robes and abandoned the temple that the villagers revered as their holiest sanctuary. The mysterious disappearance was swiftly reported to local police. Given its connection to a monk, the case was also escalated to the National Office of Buddhism (ONB) and the Supreme Sangha Council of Thailand. The search was steeped in a mix of anxiety and shame. Villagers couldn't fathom that the figure they so deeply respected had vanished like a fugitive. Then came a new bombshell. A salacious video clip surfaced online showing a monk in an intimate video call with a young woman. The villagers were horrified to recognize the man as their missing abbot. Words of affection, intimate gestures, and the woman's promise to keep it secret shattered their trust in an instant. The scandal spread like wildfire. From Phichit, it sent shockwaves across Thailand. A monk entangled in a romantic affair was already taboo, but suspicions of a blackmail ring fueled public outrage. The woman in the clip, known only as Golf, became the focal point of a rampant speculation. The incident struck a deep chord in Thailand's monastic community, especially in a nation where 95% of the population adheres to Theravada Buddhism, a tradition that venerates monks as embodiments of simplicity, seclusion, and purity, free from worldly temptations. The saffron robe is a symbol of tranquility, enlightenment, and a life renouncing fame and fortune. Yet reality is far from this ideal. Over recent decades, Thailand has been rattled by scandals involving tiger monks, from illicit affairs breaching monastic vows to money laundering real estate schemes and trafficking luxury goods. Still, nothing matched the shock and complexity of the 2025 Wilawan case. It didn't just unmask fallen monks, it raised searing questions about the interplay of piety, power, and wealth in Thailand's temple system. The scandals spanned from Bangkok, the epicenter of Buddhist and religious authority, to Nonthaburi Phichit Phitsanulok, and Ayutthaya regions, home to ancient wealthy temples sustained by devoted followers and abundant donations. Many of these temples rake in millions of baht annually, yet financial oversight and ethical supervision of monks remain lax, often relying solely on the abbot's personal reputation. This fragile system, riddled with gaps, was ripe for exploitation. As the Thai government and the Supreme Sangha Council grappled with reform efforts amid prior scandals of moral decay and corruption, a cunning, audacious woman like Wilawan found the system's fatal flaw: powerful, wealthy monks with little oversight, vulnerable to seemingly harmless temptations. In a society that exalts its clergy, a temple system amassing vast wealth with minimal oversight, and abbots wielding both spiritual authority and unchecked control over donations, Wilawanim Sawat found the perfect hunting ground. As scandalous videos spread online and monks vanished mysteriously, Thai authorities were forced to act. Between late June and mid-July 2025, at least 9 monks, including prominent abbots and senior figures in Bangkok, Chachung Sao, and Pathum Thanao, quietly left the monkhood for undisclosed reasons. For the Buddhist community, this was a seismic blow. The common thread: all had connections to a woman known as Golf. Rumors of a honey trap and blackmail in Phichit were no longer isolated. They echoed across the multiple cases. Monks were lured, secretly filmed in compromising situations, and coerced into abandoning their vows to avoid public disgrace. Initial findings led investigators to a chilling conclusion. This wasn't just one monk's fall, but a pattern involving multiple monks across different regions, all entangled with the same woman. Key evidence included digital traces, text messages, compromising videos, and suspicious financial transactions. Colonel Jarung Kiat Pangkayu, Deputy Director of the Central Investigation Bureau (CIB), confirmed that investigators had traced the money and found links to multiple temples. Bank transfers from temple accounts to a mysterious personal account were documented, all pointing to Wilawan Golf Msawat, a 35-year-old woman from Nonthaburi, identified as the prime suspect. What began as a single monk's disappearance unraveled into a nationwide revelation. A silent conspiracy had been brewing for years in the shadows, where lust, money, and faith collided in a dangerous game. The woman known as Golf, once just a shadow in a video, now stood at the center of one of the biggest scandals in Thai Buddhist history. The leaked video call, at first glance a mere personal scandal stirring the Buddhist community, soon spiraled into a crisis of national proportions. When the clip was verified as authentic, and police discovered that Phra Thep Wacharapamak, the monk in the video, had abruptly left the monkhood just hours earlier, all signs pointed to something far bigger than an isolated incident. Public outrage erupted. Thai media outlets churned out breaking news, flashing images, names, and wild speculation about the mysterious woman known as Golf. Authorities felt the mounting pressure. Failure to act decisively could shatter public faith in the monastic order. One question loomed large: was this a single monk's misstep, or the tip of a calculated plot targeting the clergy? Early efforts zeroed in on the prestigious Bangkok temple, where a Chow the abbot once resided, hunting for the first threads of truth. The sudden disrobing of a revered senior monk transcended internal religious matters. It became a national issue. Orders from the top were unequivocal: get to the root of this. The scandal threatens to erode public trust in the Sangha. The government cannot allow further damage to Buddhism. Acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai even called for a review of the legal framework governing temple finances, a murky area long overlooked in Thai law. The Royal Thai Police swung into action, tasking the Central Investigation Bureau (CIB) with the case. A special task force was swiftly assembled, pooling elite investigators from units like the Technology Crime Suppression Division, TCSD, the Anti-Money Laundering Office, AMLO, and the Public Sector Anti-Corruption Commission, PACC. The investigation began with a search of the Bangkok temple, where Phra Thep Wachirapamak, affectionately known as Chao Kun Ahau, had served as abbot, one of the scandal's first and most prominent victims. Police uncovered troubling signs. Financial record cabinets were in disarray, as if someone had frantically searched or concealed documents. The abbot's computer was still on, frozen at the line login screen, Thailand's ubiquitous chat app. On his desk, alongside prayer beads and Buddhist texts, sat incongruous luxuries: a Rolex watch, a cutting-edge smartphone, a gold-plated Mont Blanc pen, and keys to a Mercedes. The presence of such opulence in the quarters of a monk sworn to asceticism raised immediate red flags. Investigators also questioned Monk's temple staff and the abbot's personal driver, piecing together the first fragments of the puzzle. Since April 2025, Ahau had shown odd behavior, hours-long phone calls, sometimes late into the night. His mood swung wildly radiant one moment, brooding for hours before a Buddha statue the next. Once he asked his driver to take him to a hotel on Bangkok's outskirts, dismissing the need for a return ride. The tipping point came on a late June night, when Ahau hurriedly instructed a disciple to arrange a car to a border province. The next morning, June 29th, he performed a disrobing ceremony. No one knew why. A breakthrough came from an off-the-record account by a monk close to Ahau. The abbot had been blackmailed by a woman claiming to be pregnant with his child, demanding 7.2 to 7.6 million baht, approximately for 400, $200 USD to raise the child. Refusal, she warned, would expose their illicit relationship, ruining his reputation. Panicked, Ahau nearly complied, but after quietly verifying her claim, he discovered it was a fake pregnancy, a cunning ruse. Realizing he'd been trapped, he cut contact. True to her threat, a sex tape capturing intimate moments between Ahau and the woman in a hotel surfaced online. Anonymous accounts sent the clip to several Facebook pages. Humiliated and disgraced, the monk chose to vanish. He disrobed and fled across the border to Laos that same night, planning to escape to Germany. With evidence mounting that this was no isolated case, police widened their net. Shockingly, reports of monks abruptly leaving the clergy surfaced across multiple Thai provinces, each tied to rumors of a woman named Golf. The pattern was undeniable. From phone numbers, CCTV footage, and social media accounts, the true identity of Golf emerged: Wilawan Msawat, 35. Born in Phitsanulok, now living in an upscale Nonthaburi neighborhood. Far from a nun or devotee, Wilawan was a Sikha, a derogatory Thai term for a woman involved in intimate relationships with monks. Her image was circulated to relevant provinces. The response was staggering. Temple disciples and locals recognized her, recalling her as a devotee performing merits, or at times arriving in stylish outfits and luxury cars for private visits with abbots. On July 7, 2025, the CIB secured a court order to freeze Wilawan's bank accounts and pulled transaction records from the past 3 years, 2022 to 2025. The numbers were staggering: 385 million baht, roughly 10.4 million USD at June 2025 exchange rates, had flowed into accounts under Wilawan's name. Most shocking, the funds largely came from temple accounts or personal accounts of senior monks. One northern monk transferred millions of baht. An abbot from Saraburi sent over 3 million baht, $81,000 USD. A Bangkok deputy abbot sent a mere 2,000 baht, $54 USD. But Wilawan wired him 1.8 million baht, $48,600 USD, seemingly to foster a sense of mutual exchange and build trust. In total, 12 monks' accounts were directly linked to her financially. Using transaction data, police compiled a list of 12 monks to summon. Some had already disrobed, others vanished from their temples. But faced with irrefutable evidence, a few stepped forward voluntarily, and their statements began to unravel the rest of the case. On July 15, 2025, a pivotal moment unfolded. Former Venerable Bunler Chwatani, once deputy abbot of Mai Yaipan Temple in Bangkok, walked into the Central Investigation Bureau. His voice low and raspy, eyes heavy with regret and weariness. He sat before investigators and declared, "I too am a victim of Wilawan." His testimony silenced the room, not because he admitted to breaking his vows, but because of the calculated, meticulous trap set by the woman the press now dubbed the Femme Fatale Golf. Bunlert's story began with an introduction by former Abbot Surafan, a prominent Phitsanulok monk who had been romantically involved with Wilawan. She was open about her past, even flaunting a gold ring and rare prayer beads gifted by Surafan. She leveraged old ties to build trust. Surafan, with a beaming smile, had vouched for her, "Golf is a good Buddhist. She just needs guidance." From their first meeting, Wilawan moved carefully. She visited the temple, often praying with graceful poise, her voice sweet as honey. Under the guise of collecting antique statues, she invited Bunler to her home to appraise a Buddha statue. Twice, then thrice, he visited her tidy house where children played in the yard. Nothing seemed amiss. On the fourth visit, Wilawan called late at night, sobbing that her daughter had a high fever, begging him to come chant prayers for safety. That night, Bunlert went and stayed. He recounted how Wilawan slipped into the living room where he slept, bringing ginger tea and whispering about her hardships. In mere minutes, she transformed from a struggling single mother to a seductive temptress. A hand on his shoulder, a gentle embrace, a murmur. "All I need is someone who understands me." It happened quickly. Bunlert never imagined that fleeting moment would spark a descent into torment and ruin. After that fateful night, he refused to take on new disciples, feeling unworthy. Yet he stayed in touch with Wilawan. Her sweet messages poured in, paired with pleas for money, medical bills, school fees, urgent debts. Bunlert sent 100,000 baht, 2,700 USD, never to be repaid. Over time, he realized he wasn't her only mark. "I was just one of many," he said, eyes fixed on the table, voice hoarse. "If I don't speak out, more monks will fall." Bunlert's testimony became a critical link in the expanding case. Meanwhile, police seized electronic devices from involved monks' phones, laptops, tablets. Some handed them over willingly, knowing the evidence was undeniable. The truth was more horrifying than imagined. The Digital Forensics Division extracted thousands of line messages, photos, and explicit videos between Wilawan and multiple monks, including high-ranking clergy. But nothing was as shocking as the data from Wilawan's own phone, over 80,000, Far's meticulously organized photos and videos, each labeled with names, dates, and locations. No one doubted it. This was a systematic blackmail archive. Some monks, upon learning Wilawan was under investigation and their compromising media might surface, immediately disrobed and fled their temples to dodge public scrutiny. The Supreme Sangha Council even revoked titles and ranks of several senior monks to protect the Sangha's honor. On July 15, 2025, police secured an urgent arrest warrant for Wilawan Msawat. At just past 6 a.m., a special task force alongside local police stormed her upscale villa in Nonthaburi, where she lived with her mother and young child. Roused by relentless knocking, Wilawan didn't resist. She draped a jacket over her face, grabbed a personal bag, and followed the officers. A search of the premises yielded 4 mobile phones, multiple bank cards, savings books, designer bags, and crucially online gambling receipts worth hundreds of thousands of baht, fueling suspicions that much of her ill-gotten wealth fed a lavish lifestyle and gambling habit. At the CIB detention facility, a grueling 5-hour interrogation unfolded. Wilawan initially dodged, claiming she only borrowed money from monks and hadn't repaid due to business failures. She denied using videos for blackmail, insisting they were private memories. But when confronted with bank statements, line message backups, and testimonies from multiple monks, she fell silent for a long moment, then bowed her head in admission. She confessed to romantic relationships with at least 8 senior monks, matching the police's earlier estimates. Yet she only owned up to cases where she knew the police had evidence deflecting others by claiming she was merely their spiritual friend. Shockingly, Wilawan revealed a prior scam in 2016. She deceived a provincial Buddhist office official in Feshit, promising evidence of an abbot's misconduct in exchange for 400,000 baht, $10,800 USD, for investigation costs. The gullible official paid. Wilawan vanished. That case, long buried, was now reopened. The interrogation concluded with a chilling finding: Wilawan acted alone with no accomplices or profit sharing. Colonel Anek Tao Supap, Deputy Chief of Criminal Police, stated, "She lived entirely off the monks' money, carefully selecting wealthy, vulnerable targets. This wasn't romance. It was a calculated strategic criminal operation." With overwhelming evidence, Wilawan faces 4 serious charges: extortion, money laundering, fraud, and complicity in obstructing public duties. The investigation continues to expand, promising to implicate more prominent monks. Like a moral bomb detonating at the heart of Thailand's Sangha, the Femme Fatale gulf, a woman single-handedly shaking the faith of millions, has finally been exposed. On July 17, 2025, Wilawan was escorted to Bangkok's Central Anti-Corruption Criminal Court to formalize her detention. Gone was the glamorous image from her social media. Dressed simply, her face gaunt, she clasped her hands in a traditional Thai Y part, plea part remorse, while staying silent amid a barrage of press questions. When a reporter shouted, "Did you blackmail the abbots?" she lowered her head lips, sealed her vacant gaze, lost in a sea of cameras and chaotic media noise. The court ordered 12 days of initial detention, rejecting any bail requests, not for lack of applications, but because no one dared step forward. As a veteran reporter remarked outside the courthouse in Thailand, a monk breaking vows might face condemnation, but causing a string of monks to fall, that's a sin against the heavens in the public's eyes. Wilawan, dubbed the Femme Fatale, or 21st century Mung Po, knew her legal path had reached a dead end. Under mounting public pressure and damning evidence, Wilawan Golf Msawat was no longer a mysterious figure behind a scandalous plot. She emerged as the central player in a series of scandals rocking Thai Buddhism. But who is she? What drove a young woman into the sacred world of monks, not for enlightenment, but to upend a revered, seemingly untouchable institution? To understand the woman accused of toppling monks and facing severe charges, we must trace her past, from her origins and personal life to the calculated facade she built to infiltrate abbots' lives, using intimacy to manipulate, control, and extort. This isn't just a biography. It's a roadmap to the chilling mechanics of a scandal that shook a nation. Wilawan Golf Msawat, 35, appears at first glance as an ordinary Thai woman from humble roots. But behind her petite, attractive exterior lies an extraordinary life, shaped by a warped survival instinct, forged in a childhood of deprivation. Born in 1990 to a poor working-class family in Phitsanulok, Wilawan grew up without a father's presence. He abandoned her and her mother when she was young, leaving her mother to struggle alone. The absence of paternal love carved a deep emotional scar into Wilawan's young psyche. That wound fueled a burning desire as she grew to be loved, protected, and compensated for her losses. After graduating from Phitsanulok Pityakom High School, Wilawan pursued vocational studies at Fichit Technical College, where she later crossed paths with her first prey. Post-graduation, she scraped by with odd jobs and small businesses, but life remained a grueling struggle. At times, she and her mother relied on temple charity. It was during these visits to the serene monastic world that Wilawan, with the cunning eyes of a survivor, began to unravel the inner lives and fatal weaknesses of the clergy. Wilawan had a disarming charm, petite, attractive, with a silver tongue that spoke gently and persuasively. She knew how to listen, how to feign deep knowledge of Buddhist teachings, effortlessly winning the trust and affection of monks. According to one source, as early as 2006, at age 16, Wilawan began a connection with a monk. The press later quipped she'd been slaying monks since her teens. Though details of this first liaison remain murky by 2013. At 23, Wilawan had become a femme fatale, toppling high-ranking monks. Her affair with a Fichit abbot from 2013 to 2015 was likely her initiation into the sordid underbelly of the saffron robe. Behind the facade of compassion preached from pulpits, Wilawan saw monks drowning in lust. She once remarked with bitter self-awareness and partial self-justification, "I was shocked to learn he'd had a wife and child. I thought I was his only sin, but he already had others. Maybe I'm not the only villain." Her words reveal a woman conscious of her wrongs, yet quick to cite the monk's own failings to ease her guilt. In her personal life, Wilawan was briefly married and had a child. The marriage crumbled for a bizarre reason. Her ex-husband later recounted her monk obsession. She plastered their home with monks' photos and secretly texted a mysterious master. When he uncovered the shocking truth, their marriage imploded. Wilawan's perverse fixation on monks seemed to eclipse any family ties. From 2016 onward, she raised her child alone. It's unclear if she had legitimate income, but the illicit funds from monks fueled a lavish lifestyle. Hundreds of millions of baht, millions in USD, were squandered on shopping sprees and gambling. She admitted blowing 3 million baht, $81,000 USD, in a single day on luxury goods, while her online gambling habit with bets up to 500,000 baht, $13,500 USD per round, burned through her fortune. By her arrest, her account held a mere 8,000 baht, $216 USD, a chilling testament to her recklessness. Ironically, Wilawan was a master at keeping up appearances. She gifted monks to maintain cordial ties, always giving far less than she took. For instance, she gave a deputy abbot 97,500 baht, $2,632 USD, while extracting 3.5 million baht, $94,500 USD from him. She gifted a senior monk $16,000 baht, $432 USD to curry favor. These reverse investments exposed her sinister knack for psychological manipulation. Before the 2025 scandal, Wilawan had stirred minor controversies. Rumors swirled of her selling fake iPhones online in 2017 to 2018, though outcomes are unclear. Her 2016 scam, defrauding a Fichit Buddhist official of $400,000 baht, $10,800 USD, resurfaced in 2019, but went unpunished. These hints suggest a Wilawan's long history of deception merely waiting to erupt. Far from mentally unstable, she was chillingly calculated. A Bangkok Post comment cut deep. When the Sangha's rot is laid bare, they blame the woman like she's a witch, while the monks play victims. Indeed, Wilawan became the reviled seductress, shouldering public blame. But is she the sole culprit or a product of a system that nurtured such vices within the clergy? To grasp Wilawan Golf Msawat's impact, we can't just ask who she was. We must examine those drawn into her orbit, not just prominent monks, but revered figures once seen as pillars of Thai Buddhism. Each had their own past and met the same ruinous fate after crossing paths with golf. As Wilawan Gulf Emsawat emerged as the epicenter of this seismic scandal, police shifted focus to verifying the identities and backgrounds of her victims, the monks ensnared in a murky web of romance and money. What stunned investigators was this: the victims weren't just obscure or vulnerable monks. Among them were abbots of major temples, respected scholars, even figures invited to speak at international Buddhist conferences. Each had a unique path to monkhood, yet shared a fatal flaw: they held influential positions and controlled temple finances. Some entered monkhood as children, maintaining spotless records for over 40 years, hailed as models of virtue for young novices. Others were renowned lecturers, amassing hundreds of thousands of YouTube followers with their sermons. Some led temples, raking in millions of baht in annual donations, revered as local icons. Yet beneath the serene saffron robes, the investigation peeled back a complex truth: many weren't immune to worldly temptations. Some fell for genuine affection, believing they were loved. Others were secretly filmed in compromising acts, then trapped by sophisticated blackmail. A few started with charitable aid for a struggling devotee, only to be drawn into murky relationships they couldn't escape. To grasp the scale and unique nature of this case, we must first examine the victims, men in robes who once stood at the pinnacle of Thai Buddhism's prestige. These weren't naive unknowns, but abbots and religious leaders with education, authority, and influence. Yet each had a moment of weakness, and Wilawan, charming, cunning, and manipulative, turned those moments into levers to extort, coerce, and shatter lifelong careers. Victim 1, Phra Thep Wachirapamok, Chowkun Ahau. At 54, Phra Thep Wachirapamok, known as Chowkun Ahau, was a towering figure in Thailand's Dhammayut sect. He achieved what many monks could only dream of: abbot of Tri Thotsathep, a prestigious Bangkok temple, and regional Sangha leader for areas 14 to 15. With over 3 decades of monkhood, he was celebrated for his intellect and strict management, seen as a reformist icon within the Sangha. After becoming abbot in January 2022, Ahau cracked down on financial mismanagement, earning admiration but also control over vast donation funds. Few knew that behind his dignified demeanor and commanding sermons, this revered monk harbored a weakness. He melted under gentle care. Wilawan exploited this, approaching as a devout follower, offering comfort, then luring him into a vague romantic entanglement. The deeper he fell, the tighter her grip. Faced with threats to expose evidence, he chose to vanish quietly. His disrobing ceremony was swift, leaving the monastic community in shock. Victim 2, Phra Thep Vajrasithi Methi. In tranquil Phichit Wat Tha Luang, stood as a beacon of purity until scandal struck. At the heart of the storm was Phra Thep Vajrasithi Methi, former provincial Sangha leader and abbot of Wat Tha Luang. Wilawan called him her first love with a monk, as he introduced her to the hidden world behind temple walls. Their affair began in 2013, when she was in her early 20s. For 2 years they met secretly. He showered her with money and even considered disrobing for her. But the romance collapsed when Wilawan learned she wasn't his only lover. That betrayal festered into a grudge. Years later, her resentment turned vicious. A leaked video call of their intimate moments sparked outrage among devotees. In mid-July 2025, he bowed before a Buddha statue in a small Nakhon Sawan temple, tears streaming, admitting emotions clouded my vows. His 40-year monastic life ended in disgrace. Victim 3, Somphong Thitcho. Known by his Dharma name, Phra Thep Patharaporn, Somphong, abbot of Chujitamaram Temple in Ayutthaya, was a Mahanakai sect pride. Yet he fell into a bizarrely costly affair, transferring over 12.8 million baht, 345 to 600 USD at June 2025 rates. Note for reviewer based on 1 to Beast 0.00107 USD to Willowan enough for several houses. It started as a gentle romance, but he grew dependent on golf. He gifted her a Mercedes-Benz SLK 200, sent regular payments, and even yielded to her outrageous demands. A video of them arguing in a rest house exposed it all. He begged her not to release an explicit clip. She coldly threatened, "Want your reputation in ruins." Facing the Sangha, he had no way out. Forced to disrobe and relinquish all titles, he was left as a man who once wore the robes. Victim 4, Narantorn Yayun. Barely over 40, Venerable Narantorn, deputy abbot of Wat Sothon Wararam in Chachuang Sao, had a less intense relationship with Willowan, but she used him as a pawn in a larger scheme. Through a few online chats, Golf swayed him, then manipulated him into filing a complaint against his superior abbot, who shared a Dharma name with the first victim to pressure for money. It was a cunning tactic, use an insider to stab in the back, and if that failed, expose the affair publicly. The fallout was brutal. Both Narantorn and his superior lost their positions. One disrobed, the other vanished from the Sangha. The list doesn't end at 4. Investigations revealed at least 10 monks ensnared in Willowan's web, 8 of whom had physical romantic relationships with her. Among them, an abbot from Phra Phuthachai Temple in Saraburi, who transferred over 6.3 million baht, $170 USD, at June 2025 rates. Note for reviewer, based on 1 to be of 0.027 USD. A deputy abbot from Paknam Temple in Bangkok, who received 1.82 million baht, $49 or 140 USD from Willowan, likely an access fee. A monk in Fidget gifted 16,000 baht, $430 USD for unclear reasons. Deputy monks in Phetchabun and Kon Kaen, caught in the scandal and quietly abandoning their temples. These pieces paint a tragic, ironic picture men once seen as moral beacons undone by worldly desires. At the center stands Willowan, the Femme Fatale, with a sweet facade and a ruthless heart patiently dismantling an entire network of monastic power. As of now, Willowan Golf Msawat remains in custody at the Central Anti-Corruption Criminal Court following her arrest on July 15, 2025. The formal trial is pending, but the charges against her are crystal clear. Lieutenant General Jarunkiat Pangkayu, Deputy Director of the Central Investigation Bureau, CIB, stated that Willowan faces severe charges, fraud, extortion, money laundering, and receiving stolen property. Some fall under the Anti-Corruption Court's jurisdiction, while financial crimes may be tried at the Central Criminal Court. If convicted, Willowan could face a hefty sentence, especially given the scandal's societal impact and damage to the Thai Buddhist Sangha, a cornerstone of the nation's spiritual identity. Per a preliminary schedule, Willowan's trial at the Central Anti-Corruption Criminal Court will follow the completion of investigations and indictments. She faces charges of fraud, misappropriation of religious funds, money laundering, inciting monks to break vows, and undermining Buddhist institutions. Observers predict that a full conviction could lead to decades in prison, with little chance of leniency due to the profound harm to religious faith and social ethics. Under Thai law, Willowan retains the right to remain silent legal counsel and the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Investigators continue gathering evidence from bank transactions, phones, messaging apps, and monk testimonies to solidify the case before prosecution. The Willowan Golf Msawat case ranks among the gravest scandals involving Thailand's clergy in recent years. It's not just about sex and money, it strikes at the most sensitive boundaries: morality, religious faith, and gaps in temple financial oversight. From a young woman, Golf masterfully exploited the Sangha's lax oversight and the suppressed desires of high-ranking monks. Using emotional traps, explicit videos, and blackmail to siphon temple funds, she didn't just defraud, she eroded the sanctity of a revered institution in the public's eyes. Yet the scandal also lays bare the Sangha's moral and administrative decay. Without monks susceptible to sweet talk and personal indulgence, Gulf's schemes wouldn't have thrived so long or spread so wide. The involvement of abbots and senior clergy underscores the dire consequences of unstandardized oversight ethics and financial management in major temples. Societally, the case is a wake-up call. When spiritual titles lack moral backbone, when communal faith is misused, the fallout breeds distrust, disillusionment, and lasting pain for devotees. Religious faith demands clarity and accountability. No one, not even those in robes, should escape scrutiny for wrongdoing. Thailand's public remains glued to the case. Many see the upcoming trial as more than Willawan's judgment. It's a test of the Thai justice system's transparency and resolve to reform religious scandals long treated as untouchable. The case draws intense scrutiny, not just for its salacious details, but for a larger question. Can the legal system decisively tackle crimes intertwining finance, religion, and power? And will the victims' monks forced to disrobe find redemption or a path back to monkhood? What do you think of this case? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Before you go, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep up with the most gripping cases on true crime in the world.